The Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Pride Seeds, High Stick NT, and Cruiser Max Vibrance Beans.
We're here at the Outdoor Farm Show joined by Randy Dowdy. Randy, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, now the last time you and I talked was last winter. You were at the Southwest Ag Conference and you were talking about how to grow, record corn yields. And here you are back 6 months later. I want to talk about record soybean yields because, last week you set world record 171 bushels of soybeans. So, and you beat Kip Culler's record. So, hey, a simple question. It could be a long answer. How did you do it?
It's been a 3-year effort that we combined with a lot of industry and reached out to people that had intellectual property that was willing to share, and then we put our same approaches that we take in corn and try to understand the same science that we have tried to understand in corn and make it applicable to beans as well. I mean, just trying new things. It's been a 3-year effort. We didn't figure this out in 1 year, obviously, and we feel like we still left yield on the table this year. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to make higher yields. I mean, we're planting on 15-inch corn. Last year we planted 15-inch corn or 15-inch beans as well. Back up. We planted on 15-inch beans this year and last year, and the year before we did 30-inch. So we learned that there was a row spacing, correlation to higher yields as well, and that just solidified what the university research had already taught us. Then we're looking at how do we make sure all these plants stand? How do we make sure that they're all, going through R1 to R3 at the most critical times of the year, with the longest day of the year, with the June solstice. So we're looking at planting dates as a way to shorten the plants, to make them taller, or make them stronger to where they do not take in, have as much lodging risk. We're looking at plant population, what's the correct variety to plant, what's the correct population to plant that variety at. So we're still learning from that perspective. We're pulling tissue samples every week. We're using some of the same approaches that we do in corn, trying to understand the nutrient component, the yield. Pulling soil tests multiple times of the year, pulling tissue tests multiple times of the year to understand the nutrient component, the yield. Pulling nematode samples throughout the year, understanding what the nematodes are doing to us on capturing that yield potential. Putting out soil moisture probes to understand all of this so that we have data that can tell us, what do we do right, what do we do wrong compared to year over year data, and then maybe places that we're leaving yield on the table. And so we're constantly looking for new ways to mitigate stress from the plant and then reduce risk and make these yields repeatable from 1 year to the next. So we're trying to be a student of the crop.
So in Ontario, we've got an average yield about 46 bushels. So I'm interested in some thoughts on why you've learned at 170 bushels that maybe farmers could take with them. Whether it's do we need to push the crop from a fertility perspective?
It's truly not a silver bullet. Yeah. Everybody looks for a silver bullet, and I think that's what you're looking for too. Wow. That's not the case. That's right. I mean, it's truly a system. I mean, you have to check all the boxes. I mean, you need to address standability. You need to address the right variety. You need to address all the nutrient components, etc. You got to have data by which to make those decisions. You got to mitigate stress based on disease. You got to mitigate stress based on nematode pressure. You got to understand that you have enough water. Are you irrigating? Do you water at night? There are a lot of components to it. So I wish there was just one thing right now that I could say that contributed to this, and we are trying to address all the aspects of stress and remove them.
Right. Talk about a couple things. A fungicide. I mean, you're a big believer in fungicide in corn up to 4 applications. What about fungicide in your soybeans?
Well, one of the key time frames we spray fungicides is after our herbicide application because we do injure that plant pretty significantly. So we're trying to get it back in shape after we do that. And then we look at the R1 to R3 during the vegetative state to protect that leaf. The leaf is our factory. We definitely don't want diseases to take that yield potential away from us. We also look at the respiration qualities associated with fungicides. So we're checking all the boxes, making sure that disease is not our limiting factor, nor try to get the plant health side of it that's hard to measure as well.
sometimes in Ontario we look at corn as the input crop. We feed it. Any thoughts on the nutrient needs of soybeans and how you're sort of addressing that?
Well, you have to know what the plant has in it, not just hope what it has in it. And a lot of people look at soybeans as a secondary crop. You need to feed the soybean just like you feed a corn crop. I mean, they have demands too. Either you're meeting that need and you're capturing that yield, or either you're not meeting that need and you're losing that yield potential. So you have to treat them just like you do beans, or just like you do corn. You know, feed that crop.
Yeah. Now, what about soybean varieties? I'm guessing you're growing a determinate variety, right?
No, this was an indeterminate.
Oh, okay.
This was a Unisouth genetics. We planted a lot of Pioneer and Asgrow beans as well, just testing and trying to have a variety of beans out there with different genetic potential and just growing characteristics that varied from one variety to the next. And we're just trying to understand which one's going to do best in our environment.
Yeah. What about populations?
Population, we're looking at planting from 115 to 156 just to see which variety does best at that population and which one will stand the best.
Now, I'm thinking you're irrigating this crop. How important is moisture?
Well, I mean, obviously we got to meet the moisture needs and or ability to cool the plant down. We're hot in southeast, and we may have 80-degree nights, and we have to mitigate that stress somehow. We're doing it through fungicides, and we're doing it also through water management.
Yeah. Just talk about, I guess, their growing environment. You mentioned obviously it's hot, it's sandy, you've got less than 1% organic matter. How do soybeans work in that environment?
Well, it's a plant that grows, so I mean it'll grow. I mean, like any other plant will if you nurture it and take care of it. Our CECs are 4 to 7, and our organic matter is less than 1%. Right. So we don't have the most forgiving soils there are out there by any stretch of the imagination. So we're looking at obviously ways to make money with it, and we're trying to understand through science and data. Okay, how can we save money? How can we make more money? And just being a student of the crop. Well, I mean, a definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So just don't assume that your yields are limited based on your soil type or your farm, or that you're doing all that you can do. I mean, continue to be a student of the crop, push, test new ideas, vet new ideas. Don't do it on every acre. Understand what pays, what does not pay, and what you can do a better job with.
Hey, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.